Yeah, for a little while. Now, back to TNA. Earlier this year, TNA went head-to-head with WWE on Monday nights. They actually kind of hurt themselves in the ratings in the process. Now, there are two schools of thought on this. One of them, which is actually the one that I subscribe to, is that they should have tried to stay kind of without competing and sort of use what brought them there, you know, a lot of the X Division things that really that you promoted when you were with TNA. But it seems like they really want to just compete with WWE and try to take them over. What are your thoughts on this? Because it really did turn out that their ratings have gotten and stayed lower since that failed incident.
Well, if I had have made a promotional blunder to that magnitude, I would go to South America to never be seen again. I mean, I can't even comprehend that they sat down and listened to Bischoff and Hogan and let them talk them in to that. I mean, it made a laughing stock out of them. You're being nice saying, you know, it didn't work. I mean, it was the war that nobody came to. And I mean, you know, it's insane. It's beyond being stupid. It's just insane. Why would you pick a fight with a giant? And it's crazy. And to add insult to injury, I did follow it during that time just because I was amazed. To add insult to injury, Vince didn't even react to it. Did you notice that? He didn't do anything. If anything, he downplayed his cards.
Right.
And isn't that what you saw?
Yeah, because their shows, especially, it was really odd because that was also one of their biggest times of the year for WWE because it was while they were leading up to WrestleMania, and their shows were actually pretty subpar during that time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that, you know, Vince, I'm sure, laughed at it. They're just, you know, I don't know. I can't imagine the blunder. And it, you know, it hurts me because I really worry about Jeff keeping a source of income.
All right. Now we have a caller calling in. So caller from the 503, you're on the air with Jeff Jarrett.
Good evening, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hello?
Yes, so you are on the air.
My question for Jerry was, what are some of the biggest problems that he sees with the world of professional wrestling today?
What do I see as the biggest problem?
Yeah, just to name a few. What are your humble opinion?
Yes. Well, if you took and abolished college football, it's not hard to visualize that the NFL would be lacking. And if you don't see it as much because there's only WWE really that's out there presenting a product, and TNA on a much smaller level. But if you had wrestling to the degree and the number of events that were going on when the territory system was in, I mean, everybody would go belly up because of talent. Now, I am amazed and have no idea where all this independent talent has come from. I guess they just get out there and wrestle and for gas money or for free and And because they love the business and they've watched old tapes, I don't know how to account for it. But I do know that I was amazed at TNA that I would show up to the arena and there would be 20 wrestlers rehearsing in the ring. And I was just astounded. I couldn't imagine rehearsing wrestling. And Jeff explained to me, he said, you know, the days of ring generals and people knowing what they're doing out there are long gone. That's dead. Nobody does it anymore. They have to rehearse the moves or they don't know how to have a match. And the reason for that is they don't have the feeder system that the territories produce these wrestlers by the hundreds. And so I really think that Vince does a great job from getting kids out of these schools and turning them into sports entertainment stars.
All right, thank you so much for calling in today, caller. Now, Jerry, Uncle Jimbo from our chat room has a question. He was asking, what do you feel is needed to launch another company to do what TNA was originally supposed to do, to serve as a true alternative?
Well, you have to sit down, of course, and find an investor or a group of investors. You'd have to assemble a team that knew what they were doing and had some experience. And you would have to produce a pilot product and sell it to a network. And once you did those steps, you just need to be real sure that the people that were in the creative end of the business had the same vision and passion that we're all talking about. You know, you don't want to see. The one thing I really respect Vince McMahon about is he says, I'm not the wrestling business. I'm sports entertainment. So really, there is no company out there that's the wrestling business. I guess the closest to it is Ring of Honor. But there's them and all the other independents is the only real wrestling business that's alive. But I predict that there will be an investor and there will be a group of knowledgeable people come together and they really will produce a product.
Okay. Now, we have another caller on the line. So, caller from the 978, you're on the air with Jarrett.
Yeah, Jerry, it's me again. Yeah, Teresa Charm. You just meant the last thing you just said was that you predict that there will be a group of investors and there will be another promotion. Now, Ring of Honor has what they call pure wrestling. WWE has sports entertainment. TNA has much to the same degree sports entertainment, pro wrestling. Now with the fact that there's MMA out there, mixed martial arts, that is kind of influencing, I guess, in a way, the genre of pro wrestling. What is that next promotion? What are they going to have to offer? What are they going to have to offer to actually become viable in today's, in the climate of today's wrestling, sports, entertainment scene? What do they have to do to make themselves stand out and to actually become a profitable company?
Okay. Believe it or not, I've given that a lot of thought just lately. Did you watch the movie Rocky? When
I watched all the
Rocky,
Rocky,
Apollo Creed? Okay. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. And the reason it is I was the first time I saw it, I was at the theater. And when Apollo Creed was just beating the dog out of Rocky, I thought, oh, man, this is going to be a terrible movie. He's going to get hurt. And then all of a sudden, Rocky started making a comeback. And everybody in the theater stood up and cheered like if their team had just won the World Championship, the Super Bowl. And that is the essence of old school wrestling. Because what that film did, it allowed everybody in the theater to take their mind off of the fact that it was staged and there was lights and there was cuts and edits. They were able to suspend their disbelief that it was real. They were able to take that and put it over here on the shelf. And so, in the moment, the fight between Rocky and Apollo Creed was real. And that's what we did back in the old territory days. I don't think there was, of course there were a few, but I don't think there was many people that really thought that when Jerry Lawler pulled his strap down and went to beating up the big giant that had just beat him all over the ring, or when Dusty Rhodes did his big elbow drop, or when Hulk Hogan dropped his leg, I don't believe anybody really believed that that match was a shoot. I think they were able to suspend disbelief. Does that make any sense to you?
Absolutely it does. In fact, I wanted to ask you, what is the last professional wrestling match that you watched? For me, it was Ric Flair versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 24, I believe. But for you, what is the last pro wrestling match that you watched where you actually saw, you of course, you being around the business forever, that you watched and you said, oh my God, this is a story to tell. And this is Rocky versus Apollo, that conveyed that kind of emotion, that kind of passion, where it's predetermined, but you really just kind of left your inhibitions and you kind of put your heart into it. What was the last wrestling match that you saw that gave you that kind of feeling?
I really, that's when I can relate to you. Do you remember, or did you remember hearing about Eddie Graham, in the Florida promoter?
From Florida, yeah, Eddie Graham, of course.
Yeah. All right. Eddie was one of the great promoters of my time. And Eddie was the promoter of Jack Briscoe. And I was the promoter of Lawler. And we had a long program that built up to Jerry Lawler and Jack Briscoe.